Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Hello and welcome to Real Talk with the Cummings. My name's Mark Angelo.
And I'm Lena Ariel.
And we are the Cummings. And thank you guys for joining us today. We do have a special show.
Crazy good show.
Yeah, we do. And I'm really, really happy that although Wes has not appeared on camera, and, you know, I don't know his reasoning. He's never really appeared. He does his interview via written questions, but I'm very happy about the fact that we've got this 2-minute or so video clip that he's talking as like his debut. Before we do all that though, I want to go ahead and take this time.
I want to say hi to Lori. Says good evening, beautiful brothers and sisters. Damien's here.
Hey, Damien.
And Lori and Blue Bottle Bunny.
Yes.
She said that we have a nice intro.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like our
wrote
intro.
that.
It's so fitting.
I wrote that back in 2015 when you and I first got started, and I've been doing shows since 2012, but you joined me in 2015, and wanted to make an intro that was impactful with the times that we were heading in, and I think we nailed it pretty much.
We did. Unknowingly to us. I mean, it was like it's definitely.
Oh my gosh, so fitting. Yeah, very fitting. It's just like one of those things. Download, wrote it, and then you put the video together because you're very good at editing.
I like telling stories.
Yeah, and you do that very well. In fact, the video that Wes gave us, you kind of, spruced it up a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to put some pictures to what he was talking about and give him a little plug, because he was so gracious in giving us his time, not only to make the answers to the questions and stuff, but also to take time to make that video.
I know.
I mean, he doesn't do that stuff.
No, he doesn't. So we feel pretty honored to have that. Wanted to take this time also to thank Wendy, and she's also known by Win from Health Mart 200.
Wow, how cool is that?
What?
Tina, Blue Bottle Bunny, hello, I just found your channel last week. Wayne Steiger recommended you. Love your voice. Wow, that's nice. That was nice.
Yes. Anyway, for the third time, I'd like to thank Wendy, also known as Wind, from Health Bar 200. And they gave us a nice donation, and they're supporting us, and we totally appreciate that. So if you could kindly show them love, if you visit their website at healthmart2000.com, and the link is in the description area. And this is something they wrote on their website, very spiritual site. They appear to be a little, maybe have some native to them. They're in Canada.
That's cool.
And this is what they had to say on their website. In the we are now present moment, let there be equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order, non-duality.
Non-separation. Let there be equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order,
Keep going.
non-duality, non-separation. For this is my universe, and we are sovereign.
Yes, and there's some really other great stuff there that I'm probably going to add to tomorrow's show. I mean, I was really impressed. She sells all sorts of health products, and I'm all about the health. I think that if your vessel breaks down, your spirit will break down too. You have to learn to coexist. There's this beautiful balance that needs to take place. If you disregard one, the other would will fall, and if you disregard the other will fall. So it's that happy dance that we have to make with our spirit and our body. I also want to take this time for you guys to email Martin if you have any needs for your logo for your company or your brand. He's made our little logo, and he's working on another one to add to our YouTube. So I wanted to, you know, have you guys show him some love and tell him the Cummings sent you. And his email is horrorguym@gmail.com, and that's also in the description area. So yeah, you guys.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he just like, hey, you guys want this? You know, you want this logo? I mean, now he's working on a YouTube logo for us or something. And
yeah. So
just really kind of
appreciate it. We appreciate the support. We appreciate you know, donations when you guys feel so inclined to do so. We never ask for anything, but when your heart, you know, decides that you want to donate to us, we appreciate it. We work really hard to bring you a show every day, to bring you when we don't have a guest or we don't have something that like today, there's no manifestation moment, but we try to do the best we can to connect with you as a family, to grow together as a family. And, you know, we're living in those times that it's very much needed.
I mean, it's really awesome that we can, as a community, just come together and, you know, as a community, help each other out. You know, the old bartering system is something that's always been a great thing. And we do work hard on these shows. We do take time, a lot of time we dedicate to this. And it's nice. It's nice to get, you know, hey, you're doing a good job, you know, and then it's like you notice and then they write something nice about you. And I mean, she said some really nice things. It was like,
she did.
So yeah.
So totally appreciate it. Anyway, we're going to start off with sharing Wes's video.
All right. We're going to get right into this because I asked, I don't know how many, like 8 questions or 9 questions, but he was very, very thorough in his answers. And what he had to say is going to really blow you guys away, because if you guys wondered about our origins and, you know, have any questions about where we come from, this is the show where you're going to find out.
Yes, it's very exciting. So here we go, folks.
I'm Wes Penre, and for those who haven't heard of me, I'm a writer and a researcher. The last 7 to 8 years, I have concentrated on researching the ancient texts, such as the Sumerian tablets and Numa Elish, which is the Babylonian creation story, and the Vedic text. I've also studied some other ancient material from all over the world. What I found was that they all tell the same story about the gods who came down from heaven to earth and took control over humankind, regardless of from where the scriptures originated, and independent from each other. There are those who have discovered this before I did, but I looked a little deeper into this and found fascinating evidence of who these gods really were, where they came from. I also found out the origin of humankind, who we are and where we came from. One thing led to another, and the bigger picture emerged. I discovered that the 3D world we live in is just a simulation created by those same gods that are usually known as the Anunnaki. Although Zecharia Sitchin became world famous for his translations and interpretations of the Sumerian texts and the Anunnaki, I came to a different conclusion that I want to tell you about in this interview. This research led to a long series of papers that I called the Wes Penre papers, in which I explain my conclusions and what led to them. The papers can be found at wespenry.com. I also have a blog which contains the continuing research I've done since the papers were completed back in 2015. The address to the blog is wespenrypublications.co.blog. Since the papers were completed, I have teamed up for the part. And we also have an extensive YouTube channel containing our joint research. It is constantly updated. You can find it by searching for Wes Penry channel on YouTube. If you like what we're doing, please consider being a patron. This would help us continue what we're doing. You'll find the page at patreon.com/Wes Penry. Thank you for your interest in this.
That was so cool. He gave us that.
Yeah, and then it was really cool the way you put all the little pictures together and the little Anunnaki and the patron, and pretty talented, I must say. Really, really good
stuff.
Yeah,
it's really, really interesting what he had to say, though. And this interview is going to be very revealing for those that just want to kind of get like a, where we come from 101 class. Well, this is
going to be it.
It's going to be it.
So, like we said, we gave him questions. And first of all, I became very brave and I asked him if he would do an interview. And he said that he only does written interview, but he would be glad to. And he was like, God, in 2 or 3 days, he had it done for us. And he was like, I thanked him. And he goes, no, thank you. I had a lot of fun. And it was just,
you liked their questions.
Yeah, he goes, really good questions. So I think you guys are going to be, you're going to be happy with this. Anyway, so Mark and Linda's coming interview with Wes Penry, original interview, and reposted by Wes Penry. So our question was, can you tell our viewers what got you interested in researching and finding out about our ancient past and just who is in control of this earth?
Wes Penry, well, it started already in my childhood. I was growing up at the time when the Vietnam War was raging, and I couldn't understand why people want to kill each other. There were many other things I didn't understand either, and it sparked my interest to find out more, particularly when I grew older.
In the late 1980s, I incidentally got a hold of William Framley's book, The God of Eden, David Icke's, and The Truth Shall Set You Free, in the Saikara Sitchin's 12th Planet.
They talked about the Anunnaki and how our true history has been altered and hidden from us. After reading these books, things started making more sense, and I began my own research. In 1998, I bought my first computer, and the first thing I did was to launch a website that is still up and running. It's called Illuminati News.
It's a huge database, mainly about the shadow government, aka the Illuminati, but it developed into also including information about extraterrestrials. However, I wanted to share my research with the world, and I had to start from the beginning.
In order to understand the ET agenda, we first need to understand how this planet is run by a small elite of human hybrids who are appointed by an extraterrestrial force that has controlled this 3D reality for many thousands of years.
Although I was aware of some of the ancient texts at the time I worked on Illuminati News, I realized that I had to release what I learned in steps, or no one would be able to see the bigger picture. To answer your questions more directly,
one thing led to another. I followed the trail, encountered some dead ends, went back, and started over until the bigger picture started to unfold.
I was like, really, really good answer. And it's like, I very much resonate with this. I did a lot of research on David Icke, did a lot of reading because deep down inside of me, I've always felt that we were the creation of aliens.
Right.
I have some songs that I talk about that, which I'll share as the shows progress in time. But I pretty much resonate with all of what he's saying in that particular question.
Hey, Martin's here.
Hey, hello, Martin.
Get your logo to you by tomorrow. Oh,
all right.
That's all right.
Thank you. And we have your email in the description area for anyone who's interested. And we said that in the beginning that if anyone needs to make a brand or anything like that, you're the guy to look for.
Yeah. Phoenix says, before the Vedic, the Yama, the Yam, the Enki, Zion, Roman Catholic Church of Vipers, future back. Sorry, do not hate me further. It has. So we don't hate anybody.
No.
And we appreciate your input.
We may not always agree with all the inputs, but we may
not understand all your input because there's a lot of lot of things there that you have to share. And, sometimes we don't know how to arrange,
how to decipher it.
What it all is.
Exactly. So the next question is,
who is the AIF and how do they affect our human family?
So Wes responds, the AIF is my own term and stands for Alien Invader Force. They are basically the same extraterrestrial force that the Sumerian text talks about. There they were called the Anunnaki.
I wanted to change that term because when people hear the name Anunnaki, most of them think about Sitchin's work.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to Sitchin for having brought these old Sumerian gods to the table and made many aware of these ancient Sumerian texts.
However, I do not agree with Sitchin's interpretation of the text. It's misleading. The more I researched these texts and the Enuma Elish, the Babylon creation story, I started questioning much of what Sitchin and others had concluded.
What Sitchin and most other researchers and translators of the text excluded from the interpretations of the translations was to use syncretism.
There are lots of gods mentioned in the text, and that's little g, so it looks like our planet was crowded with them. However, when you cross-check the names of these gods with each other, and an interesting picture starts to emerge.
What you will find is that all these names, and many of them are not names but titles, are basically referring to the same 4 to 5 different gods.
And that's important to really look at. They are not names, they are title, like saying corporate, colonel, captain,
Queen.
Exactly. And the same 4 or 5 different gods interchangeably change their roles, depending. Some may go up in rank, some maybe go down in rank, So that's why it's so confusing at times, because we're trying to decipher the characters of this play, but they're really not names, they're just titles. So you will find that all these perhaps 100 different names appearing in the old text can be narrowed down to 4 or 5 beings.
This becomes even more evident if we start comparing other texts too, such as the Vedic texts and Norse mythology. When we have established who these few gods mentioned in the text really are, a totally new perspective on our ancient past will emerge.
This doesn't mean there weren't more of them here on the planet in the past, but only these few are actually mentioned in the text by name or title.
And that's interesting to note, is that we are inhabited in this universe by a wide variety of life, and all these different types of extraterrestrial, interdimensional beings that have existed, and some have, had a role to play in our development.
Yes.
And some don't have anything to do with us.
Exactly. Welcome, Bill. We're conducting the interview, the questions. We read the questions that we send to Wes, and we're reading his answer. In the beginning, we played a little video that he made especially for this interview. These few main gods and other lesser gods, quote unquote, who follow them here are influencing virtually everything in our lives. What they have done is to control our perception of reality.
I've concluded that everything that we perceive as our reality is false.
Are you listening to that?
Everything. In order to see things the way they really are, we need to turn everything upside down and inside out. In this 3D matrix, everything is inverted and reversed.
Not until we realize this can we progress past a certain point. If we don't get this insight, we're going to go around in circles trying to find out what is wrong with our world, but it will not lead us anywhere past that certain point. And isn't that kind of like what people do?
Yeah.
They're like, everything's going around in circles, people in the religious dogma, and everyone's fighting against everybody. And there's thousands of different religions, but apparently, there's really one true creator. Everything else are these demiurges, small g's. But they have us going in circles, because if we don't know where the entrance is, we don't know where the exit is, Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's like a house of mirrors, at a fun house, you walk in, and it's like, how do you get out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hey, welcome, Susan.
And Jimbo says, wakey, wakey, cheers.
Hey, Jimbo.
Like Derek says, empty your cup.
Yeah. That's important. If you continue to believe your old beliefs, then obviously it's really hard to take in, the actual facts of what has actually been our beginnings.
And Who's Martin says, I'm awesome. I'm in bed listening, headphones in, girlfriend sleeping.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
As long as you don't wake her up, right? So we continued with our questions. Can you speak about what you mean when you say that we come from a feminine universe?
So Wes answers, in this matrix, we have been taught that God is masculine. And in the spiritual community, the universe is either masculine, neutered, or masculine, feminine. In the latter case, people often put the masculine as senior to the feminine.
However, it is the feminine that gives birth, not the masculine. The universe started out as being purely feminine, and not until much later, a division of the feminine and masculine energies was established to make things a little more interesting.
But that doesn't take away from that the universe is still and will always be feminine. Before the great universe outside the matrix was created by Source, in quotation or in parentheses, whom I call the divine feminine, the mother goddess or the goddess, she didn't know very much about her own potentials. She was alone.
So she divided herself into smaller units, with each smaller unit developing its own personality based on its experiences. The goddess wanted to experience all aspects of herself and all of her potentials.
The best way to do this was to create a separate unit of herself and give these units free will to experience whatever they wanted to. Without free will, the experiences would be limited. These individuals' unit of consciousness are what we call souls. This is a simplified explanation, and I go into this much more in the Wes Penry papers. And that's very interesting. I mean, let's kind of, talk about that. She created little mini versions of herself, or fragmented herself to get to understand and learn more about herself.
Yeah, so she could create experience so that she could create a library
Exactly.
of it's like how they say, it's not you're not going to take anything with you when you die, right? So the only thing that you have are the experiences that you experience, right? The memories from our trip, those are the things that we experience, that we keep as a memory. It's not the t-shirt that we bought in Fort Lauderdale or in at the Keys, It's all about what we learned in our conscience, that we carry with us, that we remember.
Exactly.
So we can also see the feminine origins when it comes to childbirth here on Earth. 100% of all embryos, whether they're human or animal, start out as female. Only later in their development will they change gender if the child turns out to be male.
And that's very interesting because there are certain fishes that start out as female, but when the male population goes down, they actually convert themselves into male. And you have to have an inward experience, which is what the female is all about, inward, the womb, to be able to then have an outward experience. So the way I'm looking at this, goddess, the creator of all, was inward.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that inward, she became an expression of outward. And then that became the masculine energy. And that's why I think it's so important to look at the Sophia or the Sophia with the Christ consciousness energy, that marriage that needs to take place.
Yeah.
And I think that is the grand scheme of everything. That is what we're here to do, learn how to balance that female with male side.
Yeah.
And I think Jimbo is having problems.
It says, I'm going to have to paste and run buffer too small here. I'll post and link to another video of yours, theory packing it up. I'm sure some right, some wrong, but majority is right. When I'm done, post a link. I don't know who Jimbo is, but
we've seen them in the chat before.
My theory is still digging, pause, read, hold, enjoy. It's still. And she said it joins us.
Hey,
Right?
yeah,
She
I said
said it.
Yeah.
And Phoenix says, Yama, Babylon changed the son of God into the son of God, literally like S-O-N. The son is female, Shamash, but they made her male. Go read Ugarit text. Yeah, there's lots of mysteries that have been hidden. I mean, even the Gnostic text, the Nag Hammadi has been given to us and allowed for us to see, but it's also been, messed with.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so then did we finish reading this?
The Cummings.
Okay, so what Jesus? This is the next question. Was Jesus an incarnation of Thoth, and why should we even be worried of the message of the Christ? So he answers.
Yeah, the partner that I currently work with, and I have done research on Thoth, also called Hermes and Mercury in the Old Text. Thoth is the younger son of Enki, the Sumerian god, Marduk being the older brother of the two. So Thoth and Marduk are the sons of Enki / Lucifer.
Mm-hmm. So Thoth has incarnated on Earth many times. Something he wrote about it in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. These tablets are still available to read today, and the translations can be downloaded for free on the internet. In these tablets, he tells us that he was also Noah and Enoch, but he was also other historical persons, according to our research.
His purpose has been to spiritually enlighten mankind and to help building and tearing down civilizations. As my partner and I have cross-referenced and used syncretism to compare, we have come to the conclusion that Thoth also incarnated as Imhotep and Jesus, to name just two. We made a video series about this and posted it on our YouTube channel. Now that's the question that I've always had.
Yeah.
It was, we've been reading about, the Emerald Tablets, and there's some really good information in there and stuff that really rings true for enlightening us and giving us hope and giving us, wisdom.
And also it kind of parallels to the things that Jesus was saying. It's almost like, okay, these two are the same character, and we kind of wonder about that. That's why we asked him. But we did learn, and I don't know if that although Jesus, Thoth, are teaching us things, yes, because they want to enlighten us, but there's still an enslavement involved. Right. There's a price to pay for that enlightenment.
There are two different purposes, as we'll find out.
Right. Let's engage a little bit here, and let's see. Let's see. Lori says, as soon as you read that, Lena, my ears began a deafening ringing. As
soon as you read that, Lena, my ears began a deafening ringing. Okay. So she's got a deafening, like some kind of sound that's in her ears, coming, right?
Yeah.
Marduk killed the mother, and his sons help to this day. The religion.
Hey, girl.
Tell Wes cheers, he will get a kick. Good night. Sorry, Jimbo. I wish he could have been in here.
Yeah. And girl with no name says Wes has some very interesting and resonating information. I've always resonated when I started. This is stuff that I've already remembered, stuff that I believe in. And so it's like, yes, he's got it right.
So Tina says, Phoenix, I just downloaded the Ugarit PDF. I shall check it out. Thanks. I love searching through these ancient texts. I had never heard of the Ugarit, but shall check it out.
And Damien says everything in the system has been corrupted. Definitely.
Looks like it.
Yep.
No text, no word. Men sold their souls for this in the netherworld. They did this. And I do believe that, all these, there are coded messages that have, even the Egyptians, they use hieroglyphics how in their communication. And, our native, history here in the United States, we went around this country and what did we see? A lot of symbology, a lot of, symbols that represented language, for them and communicating, ancient truths and things to the people.
I wanted to say that email that we got from, I forgot their name, which was very difficult to decipher. They had to learn how to write in symbols so that they wouldn't be prosecuted and killed. And we've got a whole slew, and maybe we'll decipher it and share it with you guys, because we want to start reading emails that we are being sent and share information that we're receiving. But then the sister wrote me and apologized that the brother, because we had a very hard time trying to decipher what they were trying to tell us, but that goes in line with you just saying that, that's the way they communicate it.
I mean, the natives got really ridiculed by the white man when he came to this land, because they supposedly didn't have a language or something, or they didn't write things down. And they would be like, we share our traditions orally. We have inscriptions, that we don't need to write things down, so.
Exactly.
Jenny Kell says, hello. Yes, I heard someone call the sun Solara female.
Yes, and hello, Jenny. Thank you for joining us.
Hot like, guys, and share. Thank you.
Yeah, man. If you haven't subscribed, please do so.
Is Wes coming on? No, Wes is not coming on. We did do he did do a video for us.
We share in the beginning.
At the very beginning.
And this is a Q&A. We send him the questions and he answers. That's how he does interview. He never interviews live, or he never does an interview. I think maybe the language barrier could be one of the things that he might have his reasoning for. So every interview he ever does, it's like this Q&A type of thing where he writes and then he asks the questions and then but he did make a little video for us, which he's never done. It's the first debut video that he's ever done, where he gives you a little intro, and that's in the beginning of the show.
It is.
So there's much for us to learn from teaching of Jesus. But as you know, Thoth is referring to a father god, which would be Enki. And he never mentions the mother goddess at all.
He also doesn't tell us how to exit the matrix, only how to come to his father in heaven. This father is, of course, his own father, Enki / Lucifer. And the heaven that he is talking about is still within the matrix. So my suggestion is to read the tablets, but to keep this in mind. We can learn a lot from Thoth's messages, but we need to understand that it has nothing to do with leaving the matrix.
And that's the clues right there. And that's what, we've been kind of discussing. Either selection, whatever choices that you make is going to get you right back into the matrix. And what you need to do is follow that middle path to an opening in the grid. So instead of getting stuck in following the light or stuck in some sort of reality which is going to bring you back here, you need to realize that, yes, one is trying to enlighten you, Thoth, Jesus, the Christ. The other one is a Marduk. We get him all confused.
He's trying to kill you.
He's trying to kill you. He's trying to destroy you.
Yeah.
He's trying to create the singularity that lock you in. So whichever path you choose, if you choose either of those paths, you're in trouble. It's like saying Republican and Democrat. We continue to play the same tennis match, years after years. No one ever chooses independent. I wonder what that is, because the lobby, the money is either Republican or Democrat because they have the same agenda.
Yeah.
We need to follow the middle road, which no one ever does. There hasn't been one independent president that's ever won the presidency in the whatever years that we've had this political system.
Who's Martin says, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. Men marry a few brides, child, non-child, and therefore have more kids. Scary thought for the LGBT community, but they focus on BS. Agree?
Totally.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we have Balhar, the Eternal, joining us.
Wow.
And he says,
"Hi,
family."
Eternal.
Yes.
No, he wrote written responses. He doesn't do live interviews. Yep. That's right.
Yeah. So, like I said, you get that first video of him speaking that's the first time he's ever done that. So we feel very honored that, we were the first.
Thoth did this with wisdom, God's daughter. The Bible told you to find wisdom and she would help you.
And
Wow.
Damien said, yes, I had ring in my ears as well. Wow.
I
Awesome.
find that I get the ringing when I meditate.
It's when you're hearing truth. It's kind of like your higher self telling you, are you listening? This is what you got to hear. I mean, I don't know. That's what I would, It's like,
I have read the Wes Penry papers, says Girl with No Name Spooner, and they are amazing.
Totally. I mean, I think he's spot on. Totally spot on with what he's saying. It totally resonates, with what we believe in.
So the next question.
No, he also doesn't tell us.
No.
No, did we do that already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next question is,
does it not lead us to ascending and going to heaven? What could possibly be wrong about calling on the Father? Because we notice that's what everybody,
even Derek says the Father and stuff. And, I think that's one of the things that differentiates us with what he believes,
right?
With what we believe is that we don't want to call on any father or any deity of any sort or any entity. We don't even want to call on any negativity,
right.
I mean, we are creator gods and our words are thought forms.
Yeah.
And we make things happen. And
when we had a lot of people say, well, you're not creative. What have you created? Folks, have you looked around you?
We've created this world.
This world is pretty much our creation, from the buildings to everything that you see in paintings and drawing and statues. Mothers bringing to this world children that some are geniuses.
They're creator gods themselves.
Yeah. I mean,
birth life.
We might be at the low end because we've descended. Okay, so we're still learning and to ascend back up and then really, get that robe and wear our crown, and return home to the absolute. But we're down here, as we mentioned earlier, Goddess, to get to know herself, created us, the fragments, so that we, could be her hands and feet.
Jimbo says, did you find? I don't know what he meant by that.
No.
But
writing stuff.
Phoenix says, if the sons do not step away from sin, she will give their wives and children new fathers. The Bible comes from the Uragrit.
Jim sent something, but I'm not going to check anything now. We're in the middle of a show.
Yeah, we don't have time to do that right now.
And plus, I don't want to open up any windows and mess our bandwidth.
So the question is, what's wrong with calling him our Father, right? As implied in previous answer, when we pray to the Father or to God, we are giving our energy and our power away to this being who is feeding on our energy. The AIF are soul vampires. They have no creative energy of their own anymore, so they need to steal it from us, divine beings that we are, creator gods that we are, infinite beings of light and power that we are, to survive. And that's something that we listen to Laura Eisenhower, who we definitely would love to have on our show. And she goes into detail with that too, talking about that same exact thing, that these beings, these AIF, they can't live without us.
And if you go to my older videos, and I would make a bunch of these Mark rants and even songs that I've written, I've always alleged to that we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are creator gods. It's like we've been duped to give our powers away. So the heaven that Enki presents is just a collective thought form that we humans have created in our minds, being manipulated into doing so by the AIF. We must never underestimate the power of thought.
Wow, that's how we create. This thought form can appear very real, just as this world. But this world, as he alluded to before, it's a deception. We're in a hologram. Just because you feel stuff, people, just because you hear stuff, just because you see stuff. Do you know that your eyes and ears and things that you eat, everything can be manipulated to look like something else?
Extremely. And do you realize that it is you that heals you, that it is you that causes your diseases? Your thoughts are very powerful. Yesterday we listened to this really cool podcast video, and it really, it just like re-emphasizes what I already believe, you know. And it's not just me. You all can do the same thing if you learn how to remember and to allow what you hear to kind of like open up that little Pandora box and let all that, the thought process and all that stuff that you know come out. And it's important for us to realize the power of the words and the power of thoughts. Every time you say something negative, you're only breeding more of the same. Every time you ask for something not to happen, you're actually making it happen. Because when people say, well, I don't want to get sick anymore, all the universe is hearing, and the universe is the energy, the collective of us, you want to get sick. So you have to like be very careful and put forth the actual intent of what it is that you are trying to create. You know?
Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, we don't just want to, you know, sell out the concept of prayer, because the concept of prayer, you know, when somebody goes in and they want to speak healing into somebody who's suffering in a hospital with cancer or something, and if they have the intent and the belief that they can manifest something into existence, then their words can create healing.
Exactly.
You know, it's not that we're praying to Jesus or to God or to the Father, but if we direct that prayer as the infinite beings of light that we are and say, you know what, cancer, you need to go.
Yeah.
You need to stop metastasizing in this body and you need to leave now.
It's a
you
form,
have that ability.
It's a dark force that literally, like in the movie The Matrix, when Mr. Smith goes and you see all this black stuff just taking over, that's all cancer is. You give it power, you allow it to enter you, you're doomed. What did what's his name, Neo? He's like, he got rid of it. I mean, there was nothing that could hurt him. Why? Because he believed it so. So it's important for you guys to really tap into your greatness, to your light, to your ability to heal, to your ability to create. You are creator gods. So
you know, Bill H is asking, where is Wes from? I don't think we found out. I thought he was German, but I don't.
I think he is German.
I don't know.
I went through trying to find pictures and stuff like that and get some more history of him, and I think he is. The heaven that Enki presents is just a collective thought from that we humans have created in our minds, being manipulated into doing so by the AIF. We must never underestimate the power of thought. That's how we create. This thought form can appear very real, just as real as this world, but it's still a deception. I think we already had written that, but it's good to repeat it because it is still a deception.
It's a deception. So the next question that we asked him was, how does Orion, Queen Nin / Khan Enlil story line up with that of Anu, Antu, and those names of the Anunnaki? Or are they one and the same? And Jimbo said, no Father Anu. You know, he doesn't believe there's a Father Anu. Well, Wes goes on and explains this.
Okay, so it says, yes, they are one and the same. If we read the Sumerian text, the Enuma Elish in the Vedic text, which are the main ancient texts I researched for the Wes Penry paper, we see that the goddess is frequently mentioned. But because the current extraterrestrial regime is run by males, they want to create a false picture of a male / masculine god as being above all other deities. So therefore, they have diminished the importance of the goddess.
And that is absolutely evident whenever you read the Bible. You always read about the confirmation that this God, if we do serve a God, that he is a man, that he is a masculine deity, that, you know, he is, you know, he's like the man upstairs. You know, they don't say the woman upstairs, right?
Right.
So,
hello, Bobby. Thank you for joining us. He says, love and light to everyone. Let's go home.
That's right.
Yeah. And Jimbo, you said you wrote a comment on our last video. We can't open that up now because I don't want to, you know.
Yeah.
Really,
if you wanted to write something on this video,
you can copy and paste it here as long as it's not an essay, but you know.
So, so let me see. Hold on. So Queen Nin would be the equivalent to Antu in your question. Anu would be Khan Enlil, which is his real title. Khan means king.
What is important is that the word Anu, or the word Anu in Orion language, means heaven, quote unquote, which refers to the Orion Empire. Anu is originally not referring to a person, but a location.
Therefore, I never use the word Anu to represent the king of Orion. I use Khan Enlil, which is the correct title. At this point, I also need to mention that when we're doing research, when doing my research for the papers, I was also in contact with a few beings from outside our matrix.
I mentioned this in many places elsewhere, and these connections have been very beneficial in order to get the bigger picture. Particularly, one of these beings I've known for 7 years, so I dare say that this being is genuine.
So the next question we asked was, can you give us a brief summary on humankind's origin and what to do? What do we have to do in order to escape this prison planet?
Because folks, you got to realize that this is a prison planet. For those that don't understand that, all you have to do is go back in history, the years that we have been slaves, you know, the constraint, the walls keep closing in more and more. Originally, we had chains and shackles around our ankle and we got whipped. They decided, let's allow the slaves to think that they're free. And, you know, they will work for us. We could tax them. But we are definitely, you know, not freer now than we were ever. I mean, we're still, actually, the walls are closing up, in my opinion. So he answers, I will try to summarize this to the best of my ability. There's a lot to this that people need to know. So far, more information. See my papers at wespenry.com.
The Orion Empire is the vastest empire in the universe. This is where the queen resides. She is the direct manifestation of the divine feminine / source, unlike the God of the Bible, who pretends to be the manifestation of the divine.
She's the one who creates universes, including the one we live in, which is a universe of free will. Long ago, from our linear time perspective, she came up with the idea to create an experiment that had never been done before.
The greater universe, the Ka, the Khaa, is full of creator gods, quote unquote, who are basically star beings who have evolved to a point where they can go out and create worlds, stars, and galaxies for other star beings to experience in. It's all about expansion.
And when we realize that energy, frequency, harmony, those are all interchangeable words that the gods use to create. You know, when we write a music piece, we're creating using sound. You know, when you see those tests being done or those experiments where there's like a frequency and there's sand and the sand takes on the shape of all these different whatever figures or forms, you know.
Or bacteria in a petri dish.
Exactly.
So Wadiko Warrior says, hello, I'm here because Wes did an interview with you. How lucky you are to have had him show his face. Rare.
Yes. So
absolutely,
we feel, like we said, totally honored, and it's been like, as soon as I wrote him and asked him, he's been very cordial. It's almost like old friends type of thing, you know. Which it's an honor, totally, and we're so grateful. Where were we?
Right there.
However, there are still wars and conflicts in the Ka, and the queen wanted to create a soul group that was stationary on a planet of her choice.
This soul group was going to be placed in a relatively harsh environment to see if they could graduate, quote unquote, from this environment with more love and compassion than they had when they were placed there.
Against common belief, star beings are usually not evolving on planets, although it happens, but on or inside the stars. The star beings, just because we perceive ourselves living on a planet, it does not mean all other star beings do.
There were certain things that were unique for the above-mentioned soul group. She put on the particular planet she chose. They were equipped with a wide range of emotions, which is something the star races in the Ka don't possess.
These emotions were meant to assist us in getting a greater understanding of things seen from a whole range of perspectives. Moreover, when the soul group was created, they were already creator gods. They didn't need to evolve in that sense.
They were also royal, meaning that they were direct soul splinters of the queen herself. They were her soul children, as it were.
The purpose with the experiment was to create more loving, compassionate, and empathetic creator gods. When they passed the test, they were designed to go out and create in the Ka right away. And there was no death. These beings are supposed to do it in one go.
These beings were us, the human soul group. That's how special we are. We are royalty. We are a fragment of the feminine queen herself. Yes. We were placed on a big planet in this solar system called Tiamat. Some call it Maldek. And it was located between today's Mars and Jupiter.
The experiment went very well. It seemed to be a success. However, the solar system was invaded by an armada of a Syrian star race that, under a peace treaty with Orion way back in time, had become part of Orion Defense Force.
They considered Earth being their planet, given to them as part of a small sector of the galaxy, generally called Sector 9. And they didn't agree with that the Queen had populated their quote-unquote planet. It is a complicated story that is told in greater details in the Wes Penry papers. I will convey it here in a very compressed version.
All right, so the Queen had split her own spirit to inhabit Tiamat. And although the creation of geoengineering of the planet was originally supposed to be done by helpers, a star race from Vega, in cooperation with the Queen's oldest son, Enki, who would be the chief genetic engineer of all the species on Tiamat.
Now, I just wanted, Damien says if they have a label or name, then it was given a name, whether we gave them that name or the gods gave them that name. It's still been given by something. The Father of all things has no name and can. And who's Martin says, Mark would be a good fake preacher.
Why is that?
You have a good fake preacher, demeanor. Come to church.
There's nothing fake about me, though.
So many out there. Yeah. Tracy Roberts joins us.
Hey, Tracy.
The ring is God. Phoenix says, listen, when you reach higher levels, it rings. I think an artist sold his soul and cut off his ear. Tina.
Waiko is a written question, and Wes replies he doesn't do live interviews at Waiko. Okay.
Lori, exactly. That's when I get deafening ear ringing when I hear truth.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you speaking about tinnitus? Maybe because that is not an ascension symptom.
No, but when when somebody is either talking about you or you're receiving affirmation about something, there's different ways your higher self communicates with you. And ringing of the ear is one of those things.
Damien says, not be named because nothing was before the Father, Mother. More than one God, but one Almighty God, Phoenix says. All right. So however, the Queen changed her mind in the last minute, and she gave the task to her younger son, Prince Enlil, also known as, when using syncretism, Prince Ninurta. She replaced Enki because of his selfish pride and arrogance, which was not appropriate for someone in charge of the human experiment.
Listen to that, folks. Human experiment, Project X gone bad. Enki was still allowed to help out, but not as the chief engineer. Ninurta got the position. Much of this story can be read in the ancient texts, and much of it is conveyed in the Enuma Elish.
This made Enki very bitter and jealous of his younger brother, but for a long time, he kept it to himself, so he let it keep building.
Yeah, however, when he saw that the Syrians were very upset with that, the Queen had used the planet with her sector for her experiment. Enki, who at the time was working in the solar system, took advantage of this.
When the Syrians returned to Orion, feeling overstepped, because they thought they had access to that,
Mhm.
the rights to that planet. Enki also temporarily returned to Orion and talked to them. And because he himself was very bitter too, he planned a rebellion against his mother and his brother, who was also here in our solar system together with the Vegans.
Enki also traveled to other star systems within the Orion Empire, and with his glib tongue and high intelligence, he managed to get a lot of followers. He wanted to overthrow his mother and take her place as the king of Orion. This was all done in secret. It was the beginning of Lucifer's rebellion, where Enki is Lucifer. You guys hear that? That's pretty much on the money there.
So Tracy says, absolutely, they eat our energy. Loose feeding, if you could see them, you would. You can feel them. Lori says, I've had my ears checked by several doctors in the past 2 years. This has been occurring. It isn't tinnitus, but thank you for asking. Fifth World.
Hey, welcome. Thank you
Hugs
for
to
joining
you.
us.
Um,
And Tina says, at Lori Chavez, I went and had mine checked too. Perfect hearing, and usually notice the ringing when I meditate or I'm in deep thought.
and Fifth World says, word, Mark. Do 20 years with ringing in your ears. It is, okay. Damien, the senses are physically designed to distract us from going inwards. Hence, why we need to meditate out of this physical.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. And Stephanie says, let's tap the like button to get the message out, folks. Thank you, Stephanie. Yes, please like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff.
Scott Jones, the thing is, we know about the Matrix, but we still follow it. Why don't we decide that we don't live in the Matrix and live within our own reality?
That's what we all need to do. But, there's people that are still being lured in by the material world, their selfish need, their need to be in front of a mirror, their need to show their, let their egos take over their life. And we need to snap out of that.
So Wetico says he's Swedish? Okay, so he's Swedish.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
All right. So when everything was planned, Enki returned to Tiamat and continued overseeing the human experiment. Us, right? Waiting for the Syrians and the other rebels to strike against our solar system. So this is something that we need to really grasp, because it's not that our ancestors were hurt. It's not that, we're talking about you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And although we don't remember this,
Mm-hmm.
this happened to us.
Yeah.
To us.
Yeah. So Niorta, who is in charge of Orion Defense Army, the so-called Mi'kmaq, had a skeleton crew of soldiers in the solar system at the time. But no one had expected an organized strike from rebels of his own army.
Suddenly, a huge armada of rebels attacked the solar system with the intention to put the experiment to an end. Huge battles were fought, but Ninurta's skeleton crew was hopelessly outnumbered. Ninurta asked for help from his stepfather, Khan and Lil, also known as Anu, but he was busy elsewhere and couldn't get there in time.
Marduk, Enki's son, who was part of the invader force, said to the other rebels that if he destroyed Tiamat, he wanted to be elevated to become their king and the commander of the military force.
The rebels accepted, so Marduk nuked the planet to the extent that it blew up in thousands of pieces, and all life on the planet died.
Catastrophe was so enormous that it also hit Mars, which was a secondary part of the human experiment. Mars' atmosphere disappeared, and the red planet became desolate as well. The story of the destruction of Tiamat and the story around it is told in Enuma Elish, Tablet 1.
So Who's Martin says, to me, God is a meaning for a miracle creation, not what books explain. As a non-religious man, God is not a word I use, but I associate it with everything around us, what we breathe, accidental miracle.
Yes. And Lori says, yes, beautiful sister, it is not of this world, realm, reality, etc. Atina, when it's strong, simply allow it to flow into you. I cannot be certain, but belief is that this is either what's called.
And Tracy says, exactly, Scott, we keep this sick side running. We need a critical massive awake in our collective consciousness. Then boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
And the fifth world said, nah, Elohim, good guys.
Whoa. Where?
Keep going. Oh, keep going. Wow.
Wow. It's like, whoa. Sorry, guys.
Hold on. Oh, yeah.
No.
Stop. Keep going.
It's crazy. Wow. I'm sorry.
All right. Well,
It keeps going.
okay, right there. All right, so we'll leave it there. Let's.
Ninurta managed to save a few Vegans and humans, but had to retreat. The survivors escaped through the Stargate of Saturn and returned to Orion, while the rest of the souls, both humans and Vegans, were kept here in captivity, including you and me.
Our solar system was now in ruins. When Ninurta's refugees had escaped, Marduk closed the Saturn Stargate, which led directly into the heart of Orion, and quarantined the solar system so that no one could leave or get in without an AIF permission. The raw material talks about the Council of Saturn, the Sender Council, and the Thoth wrote about the Guardians in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. These are the gatekeepers between our closed construct and the universe beyond.
So they trapped us.
Yep.
They imprisoned us. They took us and they manipulated us. But Enki was not satisfied. He wanted to invade Orion too, so he could become the Lord of the universe. Thus, he gathered his rebels once again and stormed into Orion. However, this time, his brother Ninurta was prepared. A war in Orion followed, and Ninurta and his Mi'kmaq defense army defeated the rebels and threw them out of heaven, Orion, and they were not allowed to return. This is also in the Bible where Satan was cast out of heaven. However, the Bible does not distinguish between Satan and Lucifer.
After he was cast out, Enki fled to the Pleiades, where he still has an outpost. After having licked his wounds, Enki returned to our solar system and decided to continue the human experiment, but on his premises. He was educated by the queen herself in the past, so he knew genetic engineering and he knew how to geoengineer a planet.
Who's Martin says, I have said before that we are energy. Absolutely right.
Totally, yeah.
Absolutely right. A proven fact, the blood alone pumping in our veins would not be able to do its job without energy.
The heart wouldn't work without energy, because you notice that when they're doing an EKG, what are we seeing our hearts do? It's got the Q and ST spike, and when we die, what happens? Flat line, no energy running through our system.
So Phoenix says, this is splitting the atom of creation.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And Tina says, Lori Shava, that is what I feel too. Also wanted to add, not only is the heart run by electricity, but the central nervous system, all those synapses. And, you know, when somebody does a little hammer to get your reflexes, I mean, we're all energy. When our spirit leaves our body, the energy is gone.
Yep. Wedika Warrior says, you have people here from Wes's studies. We are here because he did an interview with you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you for joining
Very
us.
honored.
We appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thank you.
If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe. So Tiamat was completely destroyed and has since then become our asteroid belt. However, a chunk of the planet had been slingshot out of orbit, and this piece of our primordial world was big enough to geoengineer. So Enki chose to continue the experiment in free will on this relatively big rock that would eventually become our Earth. Another title for Enki is EA, as in EA, Earth.
So Enki used Orion technology to build our new world. It was in many ways a smaller copy of Tiamat, which was mainly a water world, just like Earth is now. In Genesis 1, it says that God separated the upper waters from the lower waters and put up the fermented as a separator.
The lower waters are our oceans, and the upper waters are the waters that exist above the firmament. In addition, he also put up an electromagnetic grid, which was necessary to keep the waters separated. This is the grid I've been writing and talking about in my research.
At this moment, my partner and I are researching more precisely how heaven and earth were created by God, Enki/Lucifer.
Whoa, hello. Did you hear that, people?
Yes. I'll repeat. At this moment, my partner and I are researching more precisely how heaven and earth were created by who? Enki/Lucifer. and we are getting close. Once we have this figured out, we will share it on YouTube and probably in an article as well.
We live in an electric universe, and nothing is what it seems. The sun, the moon, the stars, and the galaxies we see in the sky, they're not real. They're just simulations and imitations of what is really existing outside of our matrix.
Thus, what we see in the sky as being our universe is not real, other than a projected focal point within our own atmosphere. This might shock many people, and many probably won't believe it, but we are working on providing evidence for this.
So Scott Jones says, our energy is being focused on the masters. They created us. They don't control us. That is our free will.
And that's why we have to always state our sovereignty and not give them permission. Too many people are willing to give away their power and to be controlled.
So Bill says,
the God of the Bible is a narcissist, gaslighting sociopath. I would totally agree with you, Bill.
Enki is a narcissist.
Yes.
He is absolutely frustrated with his mother that he wasn't given the rights to the human experiment. So the physical world Enki created, including all life here, is just a bad copy/projection that imitates what is really out there. Not even the planets in the solar system that NASA has been showing us are real. They're just 3D images, animated GIFs, if we compare it with computer technology. And might I add that how in the world do we take a picture of the Earth that looks so like
perfect, and it's always the same image? Have you noticed that? It's always, there's like, it doesn't look real. It looks like a digital, copy. And may I also add, why do we only see the one side of the moon?
Yeah.
Everything else turns and rotates.
Well, they say that's because it's rotating like this.
I don't.
But it's an artificial satellite.
Yeah. When Enki and his team had set up Earth to become inhabited, having created the illusion and had the captured human soul group incarnate into this illusion.
Illusion.
Yes, wow. Illusion. He also introduced death, reincarnation, and amnesia. So we couldn't easily figure out that this world is not real.
He was pleased. I was just thinking right now that when we go to sleep and we have dreams, and most of the time we don't remember them.
Right.
So that's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
We wake up and we are plagued with this amnesia, So what's not to believe about reincarnation when we die, that we get regurgitated back onto this planet?
And that we don't remember our past life. But we know that there are children that play a piano like they're Mozart, and they do things, from the time they're little. That's very evident that they did that in another lifetime,
Yeah. He was pleased. He was pleased because his narcissistic pride and with his self-image of being grandiose, he thought he could prove to his mother and brother that they had made a huge mistake, that they should have chosen him to oversee the human experiment to begin with, instead of choosing his brother.
Isn't that so, like, what is it,
sibling rivalries?
I mean, very common, very common. He wanted to prove that he could create his own extension or version of the original experiment and have the human soul group graduate an even tougher environment than the original one.
Because of the way free will works, and because of the way this experiment was set up to begin with, the Orion Council concluded that this should be allowed. It was unfortunate that the experiment had taken this turn, which was not planned. But just because things don't go as expected, it didn't mean that the experiment was over. It's continuing up to this day.
However, there was one stipulation. Enki had to let souls evolve. And when they graduate, they need to be sent back to Orion. He needs to let us leave this matrix, or his matrix. Actually, Enki, in his pride, agreed to this, thinking it would be an easy task.
He wanted to show his family that they were wrong and that he'd been right all the time. Sounds pretty prideful.
Yep.
If they'd listened to him, as a narcissist would say, from the beginning, the rebellion would never have had taken place. That's how he probably thought. And a close enough narrative on Lucifer's rebellion can be found in the Arantia book, by the way.
We want to...
So the fifth world says a Saturn beast matrix system.
And Waco said, oh my.
Digital chains. Nomad Apocalypse. Hello, Nomad.
Hey, how you doing?
And
Mark Lopez, good show, he says.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us. And Usmar says, so escape this prison plan and you wait for your clock to run out and you break free from your prison body. That's the day trans people find their true selves. You got it, bro. You got it, because right now they're living in such a fake reality, I tell you.
So fifth world, yes, warrior, straight from God to me, to you. Tracy, who's Martin? You are spot on. Your spirit energy moved your blood. Your heartbeat broadcasts your frequency. Good versus bad vibes.
Awesome. Yes, totally.
Your spirit energy moves your blood.
Yeah.
Your heartbeat broadcasts your frequency.
Yeah, totally. And Bible, God is Jehovah, he devil. Aha, Corey.
Yeah. Two tricksters, gods, have fun. Phoenix, he put himself on the throne.
Totally.
Oh my God, I love them more every day, the Cummings.
We love you too.
So, but things didn't go as well as Enki had predicted. He started loving his creation, Homo sapiens sapiens, and Homo sapiens before that, as a narcissist would, i.e. as extensions of himself. If we progress and succeed, it's not because of us, in his opinion. It's because of himself. Enki is succeeding. It's all about him.
We are just objects or tools to him. But he loves his objects and tools as he selfishly loves himself as a delusional, prideful, grandiose overlord.
This new love for humanity didn't go over well with Marduk. He is Enki's oldest son, and his father paid very little attention to him and his suggestions, needs, and wishes. He became jealous of us humans and started rebelling against his father.
Because both Enki and Marduk were incarnated in human bodies in Sumerian and Babylonian times, their conflict escalated here on Earth. Wars broke out between Enki's clan and Marduk's clan, and history almost repeated itself. Both sides used nuclear weapons and destroyed large part of the planet, regions that up to this day are radioactive areas and deserts.
Reminds me, we went to, oh my gosh, it was in Utah. Remember they said that there was lots of radiated.
Was it Canyonland?
It was
that area.
It was another one, but yeah,
yeah,
there was lots of radiation, and the government was using it to mine. Remember, there were closed off mines.
Yeah.
So there has been, although we don't see battle here in the United States as much as we were talking yesterday, there has been some major battles here in the ancient past. Stuff that happened, all over the Southwest. There was something that happened here.
Yeah.
So these wars ended with that Marduk became in charge of Earth. He became the Lord of this world, also known as Satan. That would be Marduk, Satan. Enki/Lucifer became the Lord of Heaven. And Enki wants souls to evolve. He does. While Marduk wants souls to de-evolve. Thus we have the conflict between God, Enki, Lucifer, and Marduk, Satan, up to this day.
As I mentioned, Enki was supposed to send graduated souls back to Orion so we can start becoming creator gods in the Ka. If we want to, we have the free will choice to do whatever we wish. However, because of all these family issues between him and his oldest son, almost no one, if any, has graduated thus far. So no souls were sent back in a long time.
Enki then got pressure on him to show results. So he sent some souls back that were in terrible shape because of all the trauma that they, as humans, had been subjected to here on Earth. Now, Enki has received an ultimatum to have the entire, that would be you and I, human soul group graduated immediately.
He can't do that, so he shot himself in the foot, and he's quite desperate. He is concerned about the consequences of what has happened here on Earth. He's afraid that he will be put on trial for crimes against humanity.
And now on the other side of the coin, Marduk, who doesn't have an agreement with Orion, is doing what he can to traumatize and manipulate the human soul group so they can't evolve. In other words, we humans are stuck in the middle of a cosmic family feud, and we are Enki's and Marduk's pawn. That's why we don't want to go to the left or to the right.
Exactly. Over time, Enki has tried to enlighten mankind in different ways, but without telling the entire truth. If he would, he's afraid humanity would revolt or panic. Therefore, he's done it in increments. He sent his youngest son, Thoth, to incarnate here on Earth several times, bringing wisdom to humankind. Thoth also taught humans how to farm and how to build civilizations.
But since the second millennium BC, when Marduk took over as the Lord of the Earth, he has done what he can to destroy what his father, via his son, has tried to build up. And there is only one exit from this matrix that I am aware of, and that is relatively simple and practical. But I'd like to go into this in more details later in this interview. So Fifth World says, Lucifer's matrix.
Yes, totally. And Tracy says, me too. If you are diseased, you manifest illness. It's all in your mind. Exactly.
Men's matrix. They did this to the mother of creation.
And Wesco said, we are the Namalu, the originals. Yes.
Confirmation of spirit. Scott Jones, who is Wes Penre and why don't you ask us? Brave but good question. Brave but good question. Who is Wes Penry and why don't you ask?
In the beginning of the show, we shared his first on-camera information where he tells you a little bit about himself.
And if you have any questions about who he is, you just go to wespenry.com and that'll explain it. He's got lots of his writings are available and they're free to download.
And he's also got a YouTube channel, and the link is in the description area, as well as his Patreon account.
Got to sneeze.
Oh, you got to sneeze? All right.
Didn't.
All right. So Tina says, at Waco, that is what I thought too, is being a Namlulu, just wasn't sure.
Yes, Queen of Tiamat is Lucifer / Sophia.
And she also says, I wonder if that's the one that she went in and created without permission.
Oh, okay. The Fifth World, not the same, but close. Stole her power. You want to play with magic? Her name was Shamash. Is the divine messenger of El, female.
Waco says, not through the sounds, though that is a trick.
Oh, we not have. Oops. Okay. The Fifth World, honestly, my ringing regulated. I went through a couple months of major ringing on and off, and it's completely regulated now. Susan Ritter. Hi, Susan.
Hey,
thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hello, y'all. Here to listen and learn. First time here.
Oh, welcome. Welcome.
Cool.
Please remember to like and subscribe if you like what you're hearing.
Please do. So let's continue with what he had to say.
So the next question is, how do we escape from the Cummings singularity? Which, you know,
that's a big question.
That's a big question, and that's something that should concern us all.
Yeah. So Wes says this. This is a good point to present the solution. As I mentioned, there is only one way that I know of to escape the singularity. We must leave this matrix. If we don't, there is no practical way not to become part of the AI and singularity agenda.
It will get to us sooner or later. This world is surrounded by an electromagnetic grid that until recently has been very intact and virtually impossible to penetrate, even after we've left our bodies. However, over the last 30 to 40 years, holes have opened up in the grid, which makes it possible for us as souls after we die to pass through the grid via these holes.
This will take us out of the matrix and reconnect us with the Ka, which the AF has kept us isolated from. How to exit the matrix through the damaged grid is told about in details in my articles number 2 and number 5 on my blog. And an interesting thing is, like, you know, do you remember watching the movie, one of the Thor movies, and how there was somebody in charge of that that gateway that they
Yes,
had. And
yes.
remember, I
Yes,
was
because
like,
Hollywood tells you all sorts of things. You think it's sci-fi. But,
it's real.
So anyway, you can check out his blog at Wes Penry Publications home.blog. Again, that's WESPENREPUBLICATIONS.home.blog. The grid is too large to be powered with our own soul energy, which the AIF has stolen from us. So we are basically keeping ourselves trapped unbeknownst to us.
Recently, because many people have spiritually woken up and increased their soul vibration, it has created holes in the grid. Some of the holes are also created because of a space war that is going on outside the matrix in our real solar system. Some of the weapons used have created these holes.
Very interesting. And I know you guys have been seeing a lot of strange things happening to the sky, a lot of UFO sightings lately. A lot of things have been taking place within each and every one of us, because what happens out there also is happening in here. So the next question is, what is it and when can we expect to see its effect on humanity?
The singularity is what logically would be Marduk's agenda, not Enki's. This matrix is based on duality, where there are two opposites represented in almost everything. Examples are black and white, good and evil, cold and hot.
In the same manner, Enki and Marduk are part of this duality as well, where Enki is portraying himself as the benevolent god, and Marduk would be his adversary, i.e. Satan. Both want to prove that they have control over humanity, but they are opposed to each other.
Marduk is now working on destroying our biological bodies and instead making us into cyborgs and eventually into complete machines. The Borgs from Star Trek come to mind. He wants to create a hive society where humans become immortal and the entire human soul group will be connected to a supermind or super quote-unquote computer.
You know, if you guys doubt that, I mean, you look at the movie, is it Attack of the Machine or Revenge of the Machine, the Terminator? You guys see how sick we all are getting? 1 out of 2 people are getting cancer, 1 out of 3. All the different disorders, all big pharma, they're going to come with a solution about making you feel better, not allowing you to get sick, not needing this, that, and the other and they're going to present this as a solution. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Kid yourself not. The cells that build up our bodies will be replaced with nanobots, which artificial cells, so to speak. And they're doing that now probably with the chemtrails. You know, they're spraying that around. This can easily be replaced if something happens. But with a nanobot taking over our current cell function, it means the body will never die.
Eventually, it will learn to replicate nano-sized cells in our bodies, keeping us in a constant bodily state of a healthy 25 to 30-year-old biological body. And mankind is going to say, wow, I'll never age?
Yeah.
I can remain 25 or 30?
I mean, how many people go under the knife this day and age? Okay,
that's
because
worth it.
They don't want to get old. And they go through these very dangerous procedures because they don't want to get old or they want to look a certain way. Because people, that's why you've got to let go of this. You've got to stop being so vain.
Absolutely. If worse comes to worse, for example, after an accident, where let's say an organ is destroyed beyond repair, it will be a piece of cake to replace this organ, even if it's the heart, pancreas, or liver.
The goal is to create immortal humans who will never die. This is not a conspiracy theory. I wrote a book about the singularity that I put on my blog, and it can be downloaded there. It gives you the information. Most of it is coming from the horse's mouth. The singularity prophets in Silicon Valley, like Ray Kurzweil and scientists working for the secret establishment, such as Michio Kaku, Elon Musk, is also on this agenda, regardless of what people think. And we saw a video of that. They don't hide it.
No, they don't. They don't.
It's just like out there.
He said something that was outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
Like outrageous, you know. And you know what? I had understood this, you know, there's been this recent thing where they've had people post their 20 their 10-year picture.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think about this.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
You know how many people did this?
Oh, yeah.
And we just gave them all that research, all that information, all
what we look like 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, God, we're so stupid.
I know we are. We just give it away.
Dumb.
We give it away.
Like we're some sort of like, dear God, we are the dumbest. I mean, okay. Wow.
It's like, look at this was me before. This is me now.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. So
man.
They're doing this to us on Facebook, on Instagram. They're hive minding us now, connecting us all to this supercomputer. I mean, they're learning all of our habits, all of our likes, all of our dislikes, all of our little personality quirks. Gets uploaded into this super brain. Wow.
So Phoenix says, look what they did to your dolphins with it. Follow them.
The silence is not what the archons want you to have.
The Reditinus cure, question mark. And Tina says, Phoenix, I listen carefully. I've been giving you understanding of many things since meditating and seeking.
Moldavite, if Lucifer is Tiamat broken up, I wear Moldavite.
And Scott said, I have to say that I love you guys. I understand the spiritual life and our meat suit experience. It's a shame we don't get a manual for this life. It is so true. I mean, they don't prepare us at all, but that's because, they want us dumbed down. They want to be able to control us.
They don't want us to know.
No, they want to keep us.
That we are like emanating with this indistinguishable light that we possess inside of us. This, we've been dumbed down and told that we're worthless, that there's nothing good in the heart of mankind and evil and desperately wicked. And, I mean, religion just piles it on.
Yeah, and make
the
us
guilt, the control.
The prisoner to this meat suit. And Fifth World said meat suit is transforming into angels of light. What's the name? Homolitis or something like that? Where we're going
crystalline.
From.
So the entire singularity agenda is based on nanotechnology and artificial intelligence. And it sounds very enticing on the surface until you look at the bigger picture. And this is one thing that listening to Jeff Doherty and Rex Bear and Jay Campbell, Jay was the only one who said, I will not sell myself out no matter what, because Rex Bear was like, now wait a minute here.
Yeah.
If we can control it and we just had to get a little piece of us changed that,
have all the superpower and it's like enticing. And then Jeff was like,
Mr. Manhattan or whatever that character that he loves. And Jeff's like, well, let's think about this. And Jay's like, no, organic man cannot be destroyed.
No.
If they tell you that it's going to lead to a better life, don't do it.
They're lying to you. Can you trust your government? Can you trust these warlords? Do you think they want anything good for you? Do you think they care when they change your analog TV set to digital that they did it for your viewing pleasure? These people, these things hate us. They want us dead.
We are food for them. We are food for them.
They just want to keep the continual food and energy source in a body that they could control. Our souls will be connected into a hive mind that will be controlled by the same gods that are controlling us now. But with one difference, we will be much easier to control. Now, we still have free will and we are individuated. Because of that, we can be difficult to control. In the singularity, all minds will be connected and become one mind. So in order to control all, they can address the entire hive mind at once, manipulate it, and get the job done.
And belonging to a hive mind also means that we will all be able to read each other's minds. This supermind will function as a huge database, as it's already, they've been implementing the World Wide Web. I don't know if people understand it, but the World Wide Web was devised by the Department of Defense and probably the CIA before that, to create a hive mind experience for all humans, because It's like, oh, what we need to find out. Oh, I could go to Google.
Mhm.
Google has the answer,
Yeah.
you know? So we're all, including the AIF, of course, it's like a huge internet for the mind. And ironically enough, the internet, Wi-Fi, and now 5G were created with instructions from the alien invader force to introduce mankind to the idea of a singularity. And, you know, I had somebody comment on my YouTube channel video that I did the other day, and they're like, Wi-Fi is not dangerous. There's nothing wrong with, you know, you're sounding more like Deepak Chopra. And it's like, you know,
they're just, you know, people like that.
People like that are on a different frequency.
Yeah, they are.
You're missing us. You're missing us.
Yeah. It was also created in order to learn how we humans behave in different situations. Social media, what we on the collective level are most interested in, how we think and who each individual is, and who each individual is. All this is a preparation for the singularity, which is planned to be placed in 2045, and I think it's going to happen sooner than that.
However, we are in the middle of the singularity already. It's just not been finalized yet. It needs to be done incrementally with assistance from technology, cell phones, video games, the internet, 5G, etc. You know, if you notice kids today, what are they playing? VR games, virtual reality. Yeah. You know, they're escaping out of their own human existence, and they're uploading their consciousness into these characters on their video game consoles.
And this has created the excessive imagination, I believe, and, you know, notice that the majority of trans women are gamers, you know?
Yeah, well, it's logical. They would take on a character of a feminine essence, and, you know, she's like a Xena warrior or something, and then they identify with that character, and then they identify with that character in the literal sense.
Yeah.
So the world we live in, we humans are currently transferring our consciousness into a new virtual reality, which is completely technological.
The world we live in is so threatening and creates such anxiety in most people that we escape into our smartphone instead, or escape into a new character. What people don't understand is that we disconnect from our current reality more and more and attach our minds to the technology we're using on a daily basis. This is all per design.
Chris Martin says, all this technology and we still don't know anything about the Mariana Trench at its deepest, and we have no chance with space and spirituality as a race. Few lucky people might find out.
Interesting.
We now have entered, Paris says, the Twilight Zone.
Yes. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
LOL, just kidding, but this is a trip, huh?
Yeah, but this is fact. This is, you know, this is not sci-fi. I mean, we want to believe that it is. We want to think that it's not real, but all we have to do is look around us. I mean, once we remove the veil, it all becomes very available to our psyche that we're heading for something.
Do you remember that Twilight Zone episode where the aliens had landed and it said there was this book and it said how to prepare man, and it wasn't about how to get man ready. It's how to make man prepared to be eaten. Right? They're like, oh no, they're not preparing us. They're preparing us
to eat us. Yeah. Marinate it.
So the new humanity will thus decrease its vibration instead of increasing it. And we will enter the realm of technology where the gods dwell. I call it the machine kingdom. The magic kingdom, a term coined by Barbara Marciniak's Pleiadians, who, by the way, are running Enki's errands. They even admit to that themselves.
Once we're stuck in their lower density, there is no escape from the matrix. We can't leave our bodies because there will be no death. We will all be connected into a super container, and that's where our souls will remain.
What we now see is a division. The majority of mankind is de-evolving into the singularity, while only a minority of us are evolving. The gap between the two is getting wider and wider. This is why it's so difficult for awakening people to interact with the general population these days. We, the awakened, vibrate on a completely different frequency.
And we talked about that yesterday when you're talking to people that are dead asleep and you're telling them stuff, they make us feel like we're crazy, like we're a conspiracy nut, and like we're just making this stuff up, because they are in a totally different level. They have these filters that don't let them see what's really going on. The ultimate agenda is to use us humans as foot soldiers in a war against Orion, from where the AIF hopes to become the rulers of the universe. I'm not sure if Enki is still in on the agenda or not, or if he wants to stick letting humanity evolve, but Marduk is definitely in on it. As one of my extraterrestrial sources puts it, he who is in charge of the nano world is in charge of the universe. But what does that really mean?
So Whitaker Warrior says, Wes is correct. Don't get involved in the family feud.
Yes.
Yes. Take the middle way.
Just like the old yin and yang, you know, or when you're
The
balancing,
yin-yang,
you're balancing a tightrope. Either way that you fall, you're going to fall to your death. You got to stay on that rope.
Isn't it amazing? Death always will be a mystery, the true hidden treasure.
Yes.
Learn who you are. And
That's the key.
That's one of the things that, you know, we proudly say that we're Gnostics, because we want to know who we are.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible teaches us, you know, I must decrease and he must increase, you know, and that I must be nothing and he must be everything.
I get nauseated when I hear stuff like that. It really like turns my stomach. You know, it's like, how could anybody fall for that? You know, to allow anything to make them feel as small as religion makes you feel. You kind of like want to slap people around and tell them, wake up. You know, it's like being in an abusive relationship. You're a wife and you've got your husband is a wife beater, and you make every excuse in the book for that husband. And oh, he loves me and he brings me flowers. That's after he whips me, but he loves me. You know, it's like, come on now. It's an abusive relationship. Wake the F up.
And get out. It's like, get out. You know, break free.
It's just.
So Deslute joins us, the pink one. Good morning, beautiful people. Much love to everyone.
Much love to you.
Wow, it must be in.
It's night here in morning. Yeah. They must be either in Australia or England or somewhere like that. And Fifth Girl says, I do not consent, but I'm still finding peace. Well, we have to find peace. That's the only, we have to learn ourselves completely. You know, it's like if there's ever a time for you to learn yourself, find out what makes you tick, who you truly are, it is now. And what else do we have here?
I'll just grab a chair and watch you dominate this chat. The world, as you call it, is called the foundation stone and cannot be harmed. She has never sinned here. This is why we are here. Children of sin, you are sin here. Who is the Father then? Well, as we were alluding to earlier, Enki is known as Lucifer, and Enki has been known as the Father, although Marduk has also taken the role of wanting to be known as the Father.
They're just titles. They're titles. The actual creator was the mother who brought forth Marduk and Enki, and you know, Enki appeared originally to be the leader of the world, or the father and the creator. Marduk is taking control now. But that it's, you know, people are so like worried about who the father is.
Yeah.
That's not going to help you any.
Yeah.
That's part of the whole destruction. That's part of choosing one or the other. Whichever one you choose, you lose. You got to go the middle path. And the middle path is knowing you, who you are, your divinity, that divinity source that we are all part of, which is not even, I mean, it's like that divine doesn't need your worship, doesn't need for you to know who they are. They need for you to know who you are.
I'd love to know, Mark, this is random, sorry, but what do you do when angry or arguing? Not with Lena, I mean, people who give you a hard time. Curious to know.
What do you mean, what do I do? I mean, it's like, I'm Cuban, okay? And you know, I can have a temper, but I don't go into that area much. You know, I'll say I'm good with words, cunning when somebody, you know, hurts me or Lena, or I feel threatened, or I feel that, you know, I have to raise that protective nature in me. But I mean, I don't end up breaking things or punching anyone. I mean, saying that, if I feel that someone's going to hurt then all right, all 5'4" of me will definitely know what to do. So, but I don't get angry much. I mean, I'll get frustrated with people.
You get passionate.
Passionate, but it's not like I'm, you know.
You don't fight people.
No,
I mean,
no.
but I think, you know, Wedika Warrior said, Enki's the good guy, quote unquote, but they want you, both want you in this recycle bin.
Exactly.
You know, Enki's a good guy in the sense that I don't know if you can even call him a good guy, because he will literally break his child's arm.
Yeah.
And then say he's sorry.
It's like a Munchausen parent, you know, where it's all about them. He cares. He loves his creation, but he loves his creation to make himself look good. You know, it's not like a loving father type of thing, you know, that how most fathers would do anything for their children. It's, what have you done for me lately, and how are you making me look good? It's kind of like with my mother, you know, it's like, you know, this is my daughter only when, you know, something to make her look good. As soon as I did something to make her look bad, you know, that was the end of that.
So Truth Seeker says, with all this Sumerian lineage, we almost need a Venn diagram to sort out the family tree, including all these character aliases. Does anyone know a source to make it all crystal clear on who's who?
I think Gerald Clark had a...
Gerald Clark has a 7-foot long, like, thing on the wall, that you poster thing, that he will sell you, that has a timeline.
And I'm sure Wes probably has something in his blogs. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
I haven't run across anything from Wes, but yeah. And Paris Colvin says, I want out.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Enki is not good.
No.
Neither one has humanity in mind.
No.
I think this is BS. I conquered this narrative. Yes, doubt it. No. Doubt it. No, Mark. I told you it's all purging. They knew this not true. No. It's BS. I swear.
What is it that she's trying to say? That
I'm not sure.
BS, because we've talked a lot.
One is a good guy. One is a bad guy. Both are bad for Namlu'u.
Yeah.
Good cop, bad cop. Both not good.
Yeah.
Yes. Truth Seeker. Tracy says Gerald Clark made a genealogy tree. I didn't commit suicide, so that I could tell you this is all a lie. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what she's trying to say.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
I want to think my father isn't that cruel, allowing us to stay trapped here.
Oh, but
he is. Oh, but he is.
Satan is
Lucifer,
the father of this world. That's why he promised Christ everything in the world. He is the creator of you and the creator of this planet, as we have been reading.
Okay.
All right,
so the entire singularity is based on nanotechnology. Nano meaning a billionth. In our cases, has to do with size. When Enki built this world, and he did build this world, he superimposed it. We call it the macro world, while the atomic world is the micro world. This is not entirely correct because atoms only exist within the matrix. In the Ka, we create with imagination, intention, thought, which led to manifestation. Think Q in Star Trek, that's how it works.
So in the Ka, everything is nano-sized. Everything outside this matrix is the nano world, i.e. approximately 1 billion times smaller. However, with everything is relative. So if you go into the Ka today, you will not experience yourself smaller than you are now, but technically you would be.
Now you might begin to understand why the elite are using nanotechnology to create our new brave world. They are terraforming everything, not only humans. They are also putting nanobots in trees, plants, animals, and all the rest of it. When the singularity is in place, we have become nano-sized, and we will not even notice it. And so will the rest of this reality. So why would they want to do that?
Well, they need to do it because they are planning on invading Orion, or Orion, actually. I don't know why he wanted to call it Orion, which exists in the nano world, the Ka, for us humans to work as foot soldiers for the AIF. We also need to be nano-sized to be able to enter the Ka. We will become cannon fodder for the gods, and as such, we will most likely be annihilated in the process.
Time is getting tight. Oh, humanity is so dumbed down that they have no clue what is coming. And very few people are interested in finding out, as we know. Time is getting tight, and as it stands right now, it's a matter of working on ourselves, individual by individual, to exit this matrix.
We need to gain knowledge so we know what we're trapped ourselves and how to get out. The more we work on ourselves, our knowledge, and our intuition and insights, the more we influence people in our environment, which might wake more people up. We can't force anybody else to see this.
We can try to educate others, but if they are not interested, there is nothing we can do. They have free will. This is a free will universe.
Exactly.
Just as we do. And we can't inflict anything on that. It won't work. We need to save what can be saved from this human experience.
And that's what we always say, you know, you don't have to agree with us. You can stay with your beliefs. You know, it's your prerogative. We just simply share with you. And if it resonates, beautiful. If it doesn't, beautiful too. And the next question is, unless you want to read some more stuff here, 5G sounds scary and I don't scare easy, Truth Seeker says.
No way to escape 5G. 5G equals soft kill tech.
Exactly. If you guys watched that movie, The Bird Box, that was pretty scary stuff there.
It is, but you know, like we're saying, we are infinite beings of light,
Yep.
and we can transcend all of that.
But a lot of people aren't going to be in touch with their infinite spirit of light, and they will perish.
Yeah. It started way before you became aware of it.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure this has been in the works for quite a while.
Jenny Kale joins us, and she said something earlier, but she says Ready Player One is one of the films that talks about stuff too, reveals. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I wonder how many levels of this dream we're steeped into already. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So the next question is, explain why you believe that we need to get rid of attachments in order to escape this matrix.
Scott Jones says, I am a meat eater, admitted. We will have to move to lighter foods to move up without a death cycle. More veggies, less meat, and fillers.
Well, we're plant-based, vegan, and one of the things when my awakening started to take place, that's what I was told, that I needed to stop eating all animal products. I went through a massive spiritual awakening when I did that. I became a raw vegan, not only vegan, but raw vegan, meaning I didn't cook any food. Everything I ate was alive, and it transformed me enormously. I did a lot of fasting. That's the only way. When you're putting death, when you're putting stuff that has karma, when you're putting carcinogenic, when you're decreasing or creating an acidic environment in your body, it's horrible for you.
So Paris asks, do you pray or talk to the Father, or is it all just meditation?
It's meditation and manifestation. And if you pray, you don't pray to a father. You pray as the creator God that you are, as in asking what you want to manifest. The same thing when you bless your food, you're blessing the food that you're eating. You're blessing it as a creator God, so that food that you eat helps heal you and empowers you.
So Matthew Cargis joins us.
Hey, Matthew.
Howdy from SD, South Dakota.
Hey.
Or South Detroit. I don't know. Could be. Matthew says, Satan also said it was given to him. He can give it to anyone he pleases.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Paris says, when I was a child, I had recurring nightmares of a huge snake chasing me and one falling down a black hole. It was terrible.
Yeah. Is it fair to say, since we're not with the Father, that we are the fallen? Well, again, I don't know if you want to be with the Father.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that, traditional Christian, Orthodox, fundamental Christianity teaches you a Father concept.
It's so ingrained.
But the Father is not who you want to be with. You don't want to go to heaven. Okay? Heaven, in Enki's mind, is literally the Orion Empire.
Yes.
And that is a place where he plans to make you his slave and to kind of prove to his family that he's worthy of being the king of Orion.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't want to go with Enki to heaven, and you don't want to stay here with Marduk.
Exactly.
So Wes continues, for more information on this, I strongly advise the listener or reader to read my articles 2 and 5 on my blog, which I gave the address to earlier.
In summary, we have more or less two choices when we die. We go into the tunnel of light or we exit the matrix through the grid. If we choose the former, we will be recycled back to Earth again and start a new life in a new body with full amnesia, which is not recommended, particularly not under the circumstances I talked about.
We would have to start all over again to figure things out, which is not a guarantee that we will. If we go through the grid, we are free for the first time in perhaps hundreds of thousands of years and many, many incarnations.
Now, notice that this is the first time that's ever going to happen because of the holes in the grid. So that's why Marduk is trying so desperately to create the singularity so that people's souls don't leave and they're stuck here.
Yeah,
they're on a deadline.
We are here at a very special time.
Yes.
In our evolving existence.
Here's a difficult part of the situation. In order to exit the matrix, we need to get rid of all attachments to this world, be it loved ones, relatives, friends, pets, or objects, whatever it can be. If we have anything that will hold us back from exiting, we will most probably not be able to leave.
A great example is if your loved one dies before you, say a former, loved one that you were attached to and knows nothing about the grid or refuses to believe it, then let's say it's your turn to die. So you leave your body with the intention to exit through the grid. However, suddenly your loved one shows up in the astral and tells you to come with him or her through the tunnel so you can be together again in the afterlife. Now, okay, I hear people say, am I going to see my,
it's like,
when I get to heaven, am I going to be able to see my loved one? It's like, do you want to know? Do you want to see your loved one? Because if you do, and you both agree to see each other, and then it just sucks you back here.
And that's what they want. That's what they want. They want to make you slaves to everything. If you're not able to resist, you're trapped again. Related to this example, the person you meet in the astral is most likely not even your loved one. It's most likely trickery.
I want to emphasize, because it's important, that when you die and leave your body, look up with your dead body as a reference point, and you'll see the grid, spot a hole, and immediately go there.
Never let anything or anyone distract you, not even if the being you meet is your so-called spirit guide or some other apparent friendly being. Ignore and continue. This is a chance in a million to get out of here. Don't lose this opportunity. Whew. Pretty intense stuff, folks.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I asked him a few more questions because I wanted to make sure some of the statements that he was saying were exactly what I was hearing. And he was so gracious. He answered me. And I asked him, because I didn't know. I wasn't sure if Enki had two sons. So he says, I asked him this. I said, I have a question about Thoth. So you're saying that Enki has two sons, the older one being Marduk and the younger brother being Thoth. I did not know that Enki, Lucifer, Queen Nin, and Khan Enlil's oldest son had two sons of his own. I just wanted to make sure that this indeed was the case. And so he says, yes, Ninurta / Prince Enlil, King or Khan Enlil, being his father, was the one who started the human experiment on Tiamat, together with his mother and the Vegans. Before the invasion happened, Ninurta is also the commander of the Orion Defense Army, the Mi'kmaq warriors, and Lil is just a title. You see him mentioned many times in the old text, but the Enlil that's usually portrayed in the text is not Ninurta. Ninurta, Prince Enlil, left the solar system during the invasion and never returned. So the Enlil we read about in the text is Enki and Marduk interchangeably. They use the title for many reasons, one being to discredit Ninurta. Enki is jealous and angry at his brother. Enki and Marduk also took on the role as Ninurta at times, making it look like he was here. A similar thing applies to Nergal, the king of the underworld. He was Enki and Marduk interchangeably, depending on who was wearing the title at the moment. Right now, Nergal is Marduk. An analogy would be if I started talking to you about the Queen of England, you would presume I was talking about Elizabeth II, but I might have been talking about Queen Victoria. The best way to figure out who is who in the ancient texts is to learn about their characters. Today, for example, Marduk can take the title of Enki if he wants to, Enki meaning Lord of Earth, and that's exactly what Marduk is now. And by the way, Thoth tells us in the Emerald Tablets that Enki is his father. He says he was Noah in one of his incarnations, and the Sumerian texts and the Enuma Elish tell us that Enki was the one who came and warned his son about the flood. So, he told us, all this stuff, that we're trying to put together, and decipher. These are things that have been buried, and hidden from mankind. So I want to go to some of our questions.
Okay.
Matthew Cargis says, South Dakota, any good ideas for quitting smoking?
I used to smoke, and I smoked from the time I was like probably 13, then I quit in 1996. Then I started back up again foolishly around 2012, and then I quit again in 2014 and haven't even looked back. The easy way to quit, and the easy way to quit anything, is to really have an understanding of what it is that what you're doing is doing to your body. When you start to love yourself completely, you start putting yourself before any type of addiction, knowing that it is an addiction and knowing that it is something that's destroying your health and your body. Nicotine is a very strong drug, but you need to be stronger than that drug. You need to execute your free will. You need to execute your ability to let go of anything, from letting go how to eat meat, letting go how to drink. I stopped drinking from one day to the next. And not that I had a drinking problem. I just it didn't feel right anymore. It felt like this stuff is harming me. So when you start raising your spiritual vibration, you start living your life in that spiritual frequency where everything that doesn't belong in your body or in your surroundings, you push away. So you've got to make that conscious effort of wanting to do it. And why would you want to do it? Ask yourself, why are you asking yourself that you want to quit smoking? Go within, and give it the intention that it requires.
So Wedico Warrior says, I don't know, eat what you want. If your mind is right, it won't matter.
I would have to disagree with you on that, because we do have a body, and our body reacts to all the chemicals that we're putting in it. And food is one of the biggest chemicals that actually causes cancer, diabetes, strokes, heart attacks, and all sorts of things, because your body reacts that way. It's like a chemistry set. You add certain chemicals and you're going to see a reaction. The same thing goes with your body. You could get away with that when you're younger, but as you get older, your body's not as efficient, and the toxic builds up. And as the toxic builds up, you're going to get a lot of disorders, diseases, imbalances, and things of that nature.
So Wedico said, practice focusing and intent learning who you are is more important than what you eat.
It goes hand in hand.
That's something that you can't like say, oh, just ignore your body. Yeah. It's okay. That's what Christians do. They're like, you know what? My spiritual temple is more important than my physical temple. But this is the facts. The facts are that our physical body is directly connected
to your spirit,
to our spirit body.
If you watch one of our interviews with Gerald Clark, we talk about that, the importance of proper posture, your relationship to gravity, what you're putting in your body. They're both, his wife and him are vegans as well. And it's important to be able to navigate with a healthy vessel, because your vessel is like your antenna. And if your antenna is crooked and faulty and broken, you're not going to get the reception that you need. This is our opinion. Obviously, you could disagree, and that's fine. We honor your belief, but this is what we have come to an understanding. I am a certified nutrition consultant, master personal trainer. I used to own my own private gym called Bodies Under Construction. And these hands have been through a lot of bodies and healed a lot of people and taught a lot of people many different things.
And I am a direct result
Yes.
of his understanding of how the body works. And if you would have seen me after my accident, you wouldn't believe how I have progressed, because I am
walking miracle.
Absolutely a walking miracle.
They gave her 25% recovery with surgery.
Absolutely.
We opted for no surgery. I said, we're going to do this naturally. We're going to do it with food. And, you know, her life got changed dramatically.
It did. And it's because I focused on, you know, making those changes. You know, I mean, Martin, you know, I understand how hard it is to.
I think it's Waco who said the.
No, it was Martin.
It was Martin,
wasn't it?
No, it was Waco. He says, "I don't know."
Matthew. Yeah. Matthew. I'm sorry.
Waco
Matthew.
Warrior.
Matthew, smoking.
Oh, smoking.
Matthew, I honestly, my heart goes out to you, because struggling with addictions is very difficult. You know, and a lot of people do have a lot of issues with, you know, nicotine and smoking.
Oh, yeah, I smoked. I used to drink. I used to do drugs. But every single time that I felt that I was in a path where I could either die or get very sick, you know, my higher self kind of kicked in, and I was able to, you know.
And I think that's what happens, though, is that, you know, Wedico, is that when you do make the changes dietarily to allow yourself to eat the nutrients that you need, that your body actually exists on and actually uses as nourishment, then it awakens your DNA.
Yeah, your spirituality changes.
To connect to this planet.
That's what happened. Yeah. When I started being raw vegan and I stopped eating all the bad stuff, it was just an amazing awakening that took place.
So, but the whole concept, you know, smoking, and he's like, you know, I tried gums, patches, even tried toothpicks, licorice, those kinds of fixations. You just need to, like,
you know where it starts? These are all oral fixation. And it stems from the time we're little. We get stuck in these stages, the oral stage, the anal stage, all sorts of different stages. So we have to go deep into the root of the problem. What is it that you are missing, that this oral thing that you're doing is providing the dopamine, the serotonin release, is providing you the satisfaction that you're looking for? You need to find a replacement for that and go within and find out why am I doing this? Why do I continue to want to hurt myself? Because that's the bottom line. You know, when we do things that are not in alignment with our health, we're hurting ourselves. And sometimes we feel that we need to punish ourselves for something. So I always tell my clients, let's find out what it is that you're running away from, that this nicotine is band-aiding the effects.
So, Matthew, try e-cigs.
Yeah, no, that's just as bad. That's even worse.
It's another concentrated form of nicotine.
You know, that's even worse.
The smoke.
Yeah, and that's like chemical that's going in your lungs.
It's an artificial. Yeah. And she says, work for me overnight. After 43 years, you can gradually step down the nicotine. You know, I mean, did you gradually step down?
No, I said, and I threw it out. And
I'm glad it worked for her, though.
Yeah, a few weeks of, well, the thing is, you're like replacing one. It's like the heroin addict with methadone.
But is she still smoking e-cigs?
I don't know.
Because I mean,
if
e-cigarettes are also regulated as being dangerous.
Yeah, they found that they make your lungs like popcorn or something like that. But you got to do what's best for you. I mean, I find that when you find the root of the problem and then you replace, because a person has an addictive personality, and you replace one addiction with another. You know, with me, it's been working out and being a truth seeker. I've replaced all my other addictions with good addictions. And I find that works for me. Everyone's different.
So Wedico says, Wes's work is not easy intel, but it will clear things up.
Oh, yeah.
And Truth Seeker says, Orion Empire? That's interesting. Never heard of that one. Wow. Is all this from Wes Penry? Complex stuff, LOL.
Yes.
And you know who also mentioned the Orion Empire was Laura Eisenhower.
Yes, Eisenhower, which we're trying to see if we could get her on the
If
show.
you were to combine Wes's intel
with Laura,
oh
that would be, that would be a great.
So James Orca, I guess I'm still wondering why I came here or how, hence the father reference. I'm good with the oneness, aliens, dimensional beings.
And that's what we are. We are an experiment, pretty much. You know, we are the children of dysfunctional parents, I guess you would say, who, you know, family feud. And we can't get involved in the family feud because we need to save ourselves.
So Phoenix says, Mark and Leonard will be mad if I tell you what I eat, but it's not much. Days without food.
Well, fasting is very good for you because you create the autophagy, and the autophagy helps keep all the toxins away and kind of normalizes your blood pH and all that great stuff.
Wetico says his work, Wes's work, is not for everyone. Only if you know you're trapped, then go for it. But don't expect it to be an easy read.
Right.
Because there's a lot of detail in his
but
work.
it's like it flows. You know, every time I hear, when you read his stuff, it's like and same thing with Laura. Every time I'm like, yep, this is what I remember this. Yep. You know, it gets, you know, it's very good in my opinion. Then Matthew says, try E6 too. Didn't do much for me. Also worried that things would blow up in my face. Thanks from Roberts and Jess. Yeah. I had a girlfriend who smoked, and that's when I started re-smoking again, because it's like when you kiss a smoker, so I figured you can't beat them, join them. But, you know, when we broke up, I was managed to quit again. But they were trying to quit because I wanted them to quit because I didn't want to keep smoking. And we tried that e-cigarette, the gum. It's just like, you know, either you do it or you don't do it. What's that Nike? Just do it. Or my famous saying, shit, I'll get off the pot. Yeah. You know? That kind of thing. Slim. It's like water's cold. You just dive in there.
So, yes, we disagree, but that's okay.
That's fine. That's we could agree to disagree, and that's beautiful. I mean, we're, you know, sometimes we hear something that doesn't resonate. We put it on the shelf. We might pick it back up again or never pick it up, but it doesn't matter. You know, it's like we all grow from one another, and we teach one another, and, you know, we expand, because every connection that we make connects something inside of us in that DNA that's meant for our awakening and our healing and our progression.
Not everyone can do addiction the way I do. You do. Yeah. Some need to find a way before they die. Just because you can walk away from a substance doesn't mean everyone can.
And I mentioned earlier, I understand that everyone's different. You know, it's like I've taken that approach, and I know that some people need to stay baby steps, or other people need to do it whichever way works for them. As you know, as a therapist, when I was working with my clients, I'm an occupational therapist. I didn't baby them. You know, it was tough love, but in the end, they thanked me for it, because sometimes it's like when you're trying to take a Band-Aid or a bandage off, and the more you like slowly, it's like it hurts more like that, because you're like, oh, but if you know, that's my approach. Every therapist, every individual has a different approach. You got to look for the way that works for you, though.
I wanted to answer just a few more, just to share some of the emails that he sent me. So I asked him, so who is Nergal, king of the underworld? You say now that he is literally Marduk? He goes, yes, he is literally Marduk, and the queen of the underworld is Ereshkigal, Ninurta's second daughter, Isis being the other daughter of Ninurta's. Both daughters teams up with the AIF rebels. The lord of the underworld used to be Enki, but 1,000 years ago, Nergal/Enki left that title to his son Marduk, who now holds the title. These are just domains that gods are in charge of: the underworld, heaven, hell, the latter literally being earth. But hell is also a thought form that we humans have created, the biblical version of hell. Therefore, hell in the biblical form does exist in the astral, just as God's heaven, but none of them, Marduk or Enki, are gods. They're just imposters. Simply put, if you had a job as a clerk in a bank and a second job as a waiter, that's 2 titles. So when you're at the bank, you wear the clerk title. When you're at the restaurant, you wear the waiter title. However, both of those titles are worn by you. The same goes for the gods. Sometimes Marduk is just God Marduk. Sometimes he's Nergal, depending on his position. at the moment. The problem people have is that they see all these titles of gods as names. But when we really start looking deeper into the ancient texts, it becomes obvious that these are titles. This is also why people talk about Yahweh, Jehovah, as a schizophrenic god. Sometimes it seems like he wanted to educate people. Other times he was bloodthirsty. That's because the title Yahweh was possessed by two beings at different times, Enki and Marduk. The title Yahweh itself is a title the AIF hijacked. It's originally one of the queen's many titles. Isis, Inanna, Ishtar, Aphrodite, Hathor, they are all the same. Enki, Nanar, Sin, Ea, all titles. None of these are real extraterrestrial names. So there's so much that we are being allowed to understand, you know. So
before Enki, there was Tiamat with Namalu.
And from what I understand, Namlu'u were androgynous beings that were female. There weren't any male Namlu'u.
So they were like the Amazonian women or something like that, where they were.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see, Matthew says, like the content, give this cats a thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew.
Guys.
Please hit the thumbs up and share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And okay, Safina says, yes, come form the stars, and one day you will be returned. But men let it in sin. This is why we are her. She is the only one who can return you if you want it. Good and evil, good side.
And Wedeka says, yes, androgynous. So Namlu'u were androgynous. That's according to Wes, I guess. Yeah, one of his papers that we read. So there's a lot to digest here, people. And if you guys want to go back and rewatch some of this, or go to Wes Penry Publications .home.blog and look it up for yourself. I mean, he's got like 5 levels of learning. You know, we haven't even read maybe 2 of them. Right. You know, but there's a lot of information, and the more I understand, the more I feel like, you know, when I watched Star Wars, it wasn't too far off.
Yeah, it's almost like it makes you want to watch all those sci-fi movies again and get a better understanding for it, because these scripts haven't just been, you know, thought of in imagination. This stuff is real, folks. This stuff is really real.
I guess George Lucas had an NDE experience himself.
That, or they have connection.
No, he did.
He did? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but, you know, he may have had connection with, as well. Suggest you go to the source, take a deep breath, and learn some stuff. Yeah. And, you know, look at what Laura Eisenhower is using too, but also, more importantly,
you got to go within. You have to have a little more faith in yourself. You know, when I tell people, and I know that some people might get rubbed the wrong way when I said, if you want to quit an addiction, you just kind of have to do it. And my question is, you know, what's stopping you? You know, if you don't have control over you, then who else will? If you don't have your best interest in mind, then who else will? If you love yourself enough to understand that when you take in things in your life that is not helpful or good for you, you're going to be the only one harmed. So there comes a time, I have a book that is it the traveling guide or something like that, healthy eating, the traveling guide. I used to have a lot of traveling clients, and I wanted them to stick to the program, so I try to make it easier. It's an ebook that I have on my Lulu account. But I would tell people, you have an inner child inside of you, a brat who always wants their way. They want, I need, and is always trying to give himself or herself rewards. You know, I've worked hard all day, so I deserve a cookie. You know, or I'm tired and I'm this, so I deserve that. And I'll do this in my time, little baby steps. Well, you know, it gets to a point where we grow up and we have to be the adult, and we have to tell that inner child, that ID, which is part of us inside, and put them in place and be the adult. Just like your kid, your father or mother, and your kid wants something, and I want, and it's like, no, you can't have this. Just as simple as that, is learning to tell yourself, no, you cannot have this. This is not good for you. This is going to cause you problems. So it's learning how to have those conversations with yourself. And I know it's not easy, because sometimes addictions are very gripping, but we've got to be the adult.
I remember 2015.
Yes.
You plopped a bowl of veggies in front of my face.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the broccoli and I smelled it and I was like,
I felt like I had a 2-year-old in front of me.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
ain't doing this.
I'm like, oh yes, we are. You want that neck injury to heal? You're going to learn to love vegetables.
And I did.
Yeah.
I did. I learned.
And it wasn't
love
easy.
vegetables.
The struggles, the fight, to this day, everything that it's always been a struggle, a fight, but I've had to learn, like, patience. You have to deal with this. But it is what it is. It's the adult and the child, and
it's truly a virtue.
I've not gotten all these gray hairs. I'm going to see it just for the heck of it, It's because of, see that? All these gray hairs. I didn't have them till
sorry.
meeting my lovely hair.
I'm sorry. So Matthew Cargus says, what y'all think about the Nag Hammadi?
That was good.
I got a copy in the mail today. Super excited. Haven't even opened it yet, but I got the app.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I enjoyed. Linda does the reading because I don't have patience. I've never been much of a reader. I'm either an audio, visual. I like to watch.
No, but I do it.
She does it and she reads. With me, it's like I have horrible ADHD, and when I start to read, then I start to daydream, and then everything I'm reading is like it's not making any sense. So. And I have a time frame for the reading, because Lena starts to read and she'll read and read. I'm very patiently paying attention.
I'm just trying to get through the chapter.
I pay attention. Then after a while, all I'm hearing is wah, 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 wah,
See?
wah, wah. No,
that's it.
But after a while.
That's it. I'm just going to read myself.
No, but it's like,
that's it.
No, baby. It's like
I got the cue.
When you read long out, like a long time,
like
then I lose. No, I'm not when you read to me, but I'll tell you, baby, I'm losing. I'm going. We need a break.
But you need to say it.
I need to say that.
You don't say it.
I need to say
Instead,
that.
he goes,
I'm like, okay, I've reached my potential.
I'm like, this is a really good part of the book.
But I'm saturated.
Right.
So I need to tell you, baby, can we take a break?
I know.
I need to tell you that. That's what I gotta do. So I promise,
baby,
from now on,
baby, please.
You guys are my witness.
Baby, please. I don't have
it's
my
I'm
Asperger's is up to here. Yeah.
It's like wah, 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 wah. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, and then when she asked me something, I'm like,
the truth comes out.
And I'm like, yeah, can you repeat that?
Because I know.
But that happened in school. When I was in school, and the teacher would be like talking and talking. And at first I'd be all attentive. And after a while, I'm like, I've had enough. Can you make her shut up, please? But
my God.
It's my.
So I was understanding that the Nag Hammadi is good, but you need to watch out because it's been manipulated. There are parts of it that are very anti-female. And it's about the oppression of the female and the continuation of the patriarchy. And when you look at that stuff, in your gut.
Yeah, when you hear
that's not true.
Yeah,
that's not
it's
true.
Like we watch something.
Meter goes.
When we watch something and something, we both look at each other like, no.
Yeah, it's like it's like watching a YouTube video. I wanted to find out about some topic. It's like. No, I don't know. You're not going to listen to that.
Yep.
So, Phoenix says, Nag Hammadi changed words of men. Gnostics trying. Love this book. Church killed those men to hide the truth. And but there's a lot of good stuff in the Nag Hammadi that, that rings true for me.
Mm-hmm.
But, Stephanie says, check it out. I'm referring to those who are mentally emotionally damaged, who are self-medicating without any support. That's the rub I'm talking about. So I'm not sure.
I don't know
Where she was.
No. You can't walk away from it, so it doesn't mean everyone can.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what she meant by that. Tracy, Matthew K., lots of wisdom in NH. Favorite poem, The Triple Formed Thought. Pay attention to the water references.
Mm-hmm. They fly out before.
You are making excuses like Lena with the veg. You two, so cute. Oh my God. We have a good time.
We do.
Yeah, everything has a duality. Nothing here is all good or all evil. And that's the thing. Even and this is what Laura Eisenhower was saying, that the goddess even put like the divine, what is it, into Lucifer? It was like so that Lucifer could even be redeemed.
Yeah.
Could be brought back.
Yeah, because we all have the potential. We all have it in us. It's not just us. It's like all the demiurges have the capability of going from the darkness to the light. Like kind of thing.
Darth Vader was whatever he was, I forget what was his name before he was Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a good, noble
originally
being, right?
Yeah, originally, until something happened that turned him
and then
dark.
Later he became dark. But then, like when I was a little kid, I watched The Return of the Jedi, and it seemed like he was this noble guy again, because Luke, I am your father, that whole thing. And, this is my dad. And he was Darth Vader, So there is good and evil in each and every one of us.
All of us.
And it's not a matter of getting rid of the evil or just having the good. It's a matter of balancing.
It's not a matter of getting rid of your ego, because your ego was created for a purpose. I spoke about that this morning in one of my solo videos. It's about integrating. It's about understanding it. It's about balancing it. That's the name of the game. About folks not being able to quit an addiction. Yeah, everybody. I mean, it all depends how much of a grasp it has on you. But baby steps. I mean, it's. I always believe to go into the root of the problem. If you go into the root of the problem, it's like you keep weeding your garden. If you don't pull that root or that weed from the root, it's going to keep growing. You got to go in deep. You got to find out, why am I doing this? Why did I start this habit? Why do I have this addiction? Not mask one with another or just kind of like force yourself, because sometimes willpower is not enough. You have to find out why, and you have to understand you as a human being and why you do what you do. Once you crack that code, then it's easy.
It's like, we talk about how bacteria or these
parasites,
organisms actually that live inside of us dictate to you what you should and should not eat, because they have an appetite and they want to be fed. So if you have a bunch of chocolate loving sugar parasites that are living inside of you, they're going to be wanting you to buy candy. And they're going to tell you that that's you that wants it, but it's not you.
It's a parasite.
It's not
parasite
you.
That's taken over. That's, that if you clean your spirit and you detox yourself and you really learn you could overcome anything. You've got the ability. You got the power. You're greater than you know. Stop giving yourself a programming that you can't. There's no such thing as I can't. I can't mean I won't. I would tell it to my patients. And I had a little thing, a little poster that said, I can't means I won't. Okay? Because there's no such thing as can't. You won't. You don't want to. But if you really want to, you can. Trust me on that. Anyway, we're good. It's been quite the journey today.
Yeah, we've been on for
almost 2.5 hours. It started 5:30 to 7:30.
2 hours ago we started.
Yeah, it's 7:53, so it's almost 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow. Remember, guys, Sunday we have John Keene. What's his name again?
John Keene from the Best Damn Podcast. Going to talk all kinds of truther stuff.
Yeah.
All
about
kinds of
MK Ultra, all
information.
sorts of conspiracy stuff, because he loves all that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to pick his brain, and we're going to like create some really good stuff to talk about.
Some good content.
Yeah. So you guys, have some questions ready. If, anything that you want us to discuss, email me and I'll make sure to add it in the questions.
Yeah.
Or if not, you ask it when we're on live.
That's true.
Yeah. Don't eat red meat either. Gives me tummy ache. Yep. Red meat is not good. You can't digest that stuff. Your intestines are too long. Carnivores have an enzyme that breaks that down because meat putrefies in your stomach. And when it putrefies, it creates all sorts of bacteria, cancer-causing agents, and all that stuff gets in your joints, and you start getting arthritis and pain, and it just inflammates you. And, it's not good. It's not good.
Not good.
It doesn't even taste good. I never.
We have intestines, right? And I don't know, how long are they?
Well, they're pretty long.
I mean, there's miles of intestines
Miles
inside,
and
right?
miles, yeah.
So there's all these little curvy paths that food and particles can get stuck in.
Mm-hmm.
And meat can actually get stuck in a little piece of your intestine and not come out for years.
Yeah, and when you do enemas,
for decades.
Because we used to do enemas a while back, especially when you were first injured. It's the first time she ever had an enema. Like, this needs to happen. And, sometimes you have corn that's been sitting there for years because it's like, so when you do enemas, it's like the Egyptians believed in enema a lot. It's like, you got a healthy gut, you're going to have a healthy body. And Tracy said, it doesn't seem like it's 2.5 hours. Great show, great chat. I love you all. We love you.
Thank you, Tracy.
We love you. And Stefan says, thanks, friends. Good night. Loads of love to you. Global Witness is live with David Icke tomorrow morning. Yes.
7 a.m. Mountain.
Yeah, that's
early.
Yeah, we'll watch it, not live, I'm sure.
Well, you won't. I wake up early.
Well, tomorrow I've got therapy for my shoulder.
So you'll probably hear some of it.
Probably. All right, guys, we love you. We're going to leave you with another one of my songs. And what's the song?
Is this thing on?
Yeah,
because it gets turned off. No, hold on. Don't turn it on yet.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
The song is called Brother Don't Cry. Let me shut this off. And we love you guys. But remember to always love yourselves too. Love yourself loads and loads. You're important. Remember that. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right, guys. Let's just start going home and realize this one thing. We're destroying each other. Why we don't want a brother. Different talk about green, but much our heart. We all tend to believe us being what we intended to be. A little making history. Don't cry. Only created this night. It's part of the course now. There's a fire. What's the use of battle when I will survive? How can you deny which I hate in your mind? God, I know that alone, that's all. Let us free our children from hate and evil. God, let go. We can continue these wars. Let's open our eyes. Why open our soul? That we what we intended to be. One day we'll don't cry. Don't cry. What we created this night. It's part of the course now. Don't you cry. That's what a child told me to do. God is yours now. So just have better.